Chapter 13. Rain's Journal. Hey everyone, I'm sure you all already know who I am. What's with that expression on your face? Don't act like you don't know me. I'm going to beat you up. Because I'm such a good girl, I'll let it slide this time, but be careful. I'm Rain, the blue primordial. Many also refer to me as the second strongest primordial, you know. What did you say? Black is stronger. You have a death wish, I guess. Don't ever compare me to that weirdo. I'd rather never see his face again. Anyway, I'm Rain, the blue primordial. A long time ago, I always thought I was the strongest. I'm one of the primordial demons, you know. We are supposed to be the strongest, well, if you don't count the true dragons that is. Despite being my rival, I get along pretty well with Mizer, since the old ages. We were bored because our fights always ended in a draw, and torturing these useless demons is boring. That is something only Violet enjoys doing anyway. As I said, we were bored and thought about what to do. Then I, the genius I am, had a brilliant idea. I convinced Mizer, or Verd at that time, to challenge Red with me. We were demolished. No chance. That was humiliating. We couldn't even scratch him. That's when I realized what true strength is. Both me and Mizer swore our loyalty to him. Sometime after, he was summoned by Sun Kingdom. As mighty as he is, he destroyed both the enemy and the summoner country. He then summoned us and even gave us names. At that moment I thought Gai-sama was the strongest, but he was defeated by Veldanava-sama. That's when he received his role as the mediator of this world. After Veldanava-sama's death, Velzard-sama came and challenged Gai-sama. It was a fierce fight between the two, but none of them really put their everything into it. Velzard-sama decided to stay with us and, pay attention, froze the whole continent we were going to live on. Can you believe that? That was such a pain. But because I'm such a well-behaved and loyal girl, I didn't complain. I'm a demon anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if you're not careful enough, the water you're holding will freeze. While doing laundry, sometimes the wet clothes would freeze too. Isn't that troublesome? Why am I doing laundry? Ah, didn't I say that? I am Gai-sama's maid, together with Mizer. We do our job well too. Despite Mizer sometimes getting cocky and acting like she is the boss. Why she did do that? I don't know. I was relaxed, I was mentally supporting her while she was doing the chores, and she suddenly lashed out at me. Can you believe that? Time passed and we both became perfect maids. We learned how to cook, clean, and everything else a maid should do. I even found a new hobby. I started painting. Velzard-sama and Gai-sama liked my painting of them. Mizer was the only one who would complain. I can't do anything about it, you know. I just paint what I see in Mizer. Never mind. So time passed and one day Gai-sama said we would soon have a new job. We would help him with hosting the Demon Lord meetings. Yes, Demon Lords, you heard it right. Rimuru-sama isn't a Demon Lord, but she decided to join either way because she also was a mediator like Gai-sama. One day, while Gai-sama and Velzard-sama were enjoying their tea, they asked for my sweets. I wanted to eat them by myself, but because I'm such a good girl I decided to share it with them. I didn't have a choice in the first place. But when I arrived in the kitchen, the sweets were gone. It has to be Misery. Who else would dare? I called her nicely to the kitchen and, again, nicely asked where they were. When she said she didn't know, I nicely started to beat her convince her to tell me where they were. But Gai-sama heard the tumult we made and punished us. But he said something interesting. Someone was sneaking around in the palace. I will find this rat. We have a problem. Milim-sama is on a rampage. Her dragon friend got killed, and she went mad and destroyed the kingdom responsible for her loss. That alone is not a problem, but she doesn't stop. Gai-sama tasked us to guard the palace and set off with Velzard-sama. Some time after, they returned and Rimuru-sama was accompanying them. But there was someone else. If I wouldn't look, I wouldn't even know he was there. He had no presence at all. Not even a trace of Megicil's aura. It was as if he wasn't even here. Even we primordial demons can't erase our presence completely, so he has to be strong. But more importantly, he was extremely beautiful. Like really beautiful. Maybe even the most Bodhi, no. What am I talking? Gai-sama is the best, Gai-sama is the best, Gai-sama is the best. They sat down and talked about what happened. Apparently this mysterious man, Rimuru, has stopped Milim-sama and prevented further damage. Is he that strong? No. I'm sure Gai-sama could also have done it. But even Velzard-sama seems impressed. Maybe anyway, let's not think about it right now. They continued their conversation. Gai-sama asked for my sweets again. Can't I for once enjoy it by myself? As I and Mizer head out to the kitchen, we felt a strong presence. No, too. When we went to check out who it was, we found out it was Velgrin-sama and this human hero, again. I bet he came to challenge Gai-sama again. We told them that Gai-sama currently had a guest, and they would have to wait or come back some other time. But you know what Velgrin-sama did? She blasted me away. It didn't really hurt, she held back, but I flew away anyway. But suddenly, I was caught by someone. It was the mysterious Rimuru. He looked like a prince, one of those the human girls talked about. and his hand was holding I can't say it. He is so bold. Does that mean he likes me? When he let me down, he looked embarrassed, but that's when I realized how handsome he really was. But what happened afterwards left me speechless. He played with Veldanava like she was a little girl. He wasn't even trying. How strong is he really? Just when their fight ended, another shocking spectacle happened. He broke that human hero's sword with a flick of his finger. Can you believe that? Isn't he amazing? Don't dare to disagree. You know what will happen to you if you will disagree. That sword was able to withstand Gaisama's sword, and he just broke it with a fling of his finger. The hero got scared and returned to his empire, but Veldanava decided to stay. Why is she staring at Rimuru-sama like that? It's true that she is strong and Veldanava's sister, but I won't lose. I mean, he already kind of told me that he likes me, so we then changed locations, and they started to discuss several things. Rimuru-sama is also joining the Demon Lords. I mean, he hasn't accepted yet, but why shouldn't he, right? But then suddenly, Gaisama called me and told me to serve Rimuru-sama from today onward. How lucky am I? I'm finally able to leave this place. But Rimuru-sama first asked me if I'm fine with it. Of course, I am. But I didn't say it out loud. I mean, I have to act dignified in the presence of my prince. I accepted his proposal. I accepted to serve under him, and he smiled at me. That smile should be illegal. He even called me Chan. Could this day get any better? He then named me, without changing it, and I felt stronger. I didn't even know this was possible. As expected of Rimuru-sama. He told me I would be his assistant. I don't know exactly what that is, maybe some kind of lover. But he explained that it was like a right-hand man, in my case, right-hand girl. What are you laughing at, you moron? What can I do? I never heard that word before. Rimuru-sama said he would be staying here until Milim-sama wakes up. Is there anything Rimuru-sama can't do? This tiramisu is better than anything I had before. He even said he would give me the recipe. Mizer would also receive it, but I guess he was feeling bad because she looks so envious. After the delicious dessert, we tried to play some card games. Rimuru-sama introduced us, but we had to stop halfway through because Veldanava and Veldanava nearly went on a rampage because of it. How rude, in the presence of Rimuru-sama, but it has its good sides. This way Rimuru-sama will further see how good of a girl I am compared to the others. Fufufu, I'm such a genius. What is this presence? Is it the hero again? No, this is also a hero, but not that Rudra guy. Who is that girl? When I and Mizer arrived to check out on her, she suddenly started yelling. What is her problem? Why are all heroes so weirdos? Maybe they are dependents of black. I know that they can't be dependents of a demon, you moron, I was just joking. Anyway, we approach her to tell her to leave this place. To call Rimuru-sama an impostor. Now she's done it. I will kill her. I first had to gauge how strong she is, so I fired my typical welcome to the palace of white ice nuclear cannon at her, but she easily swept it away. Not bad, not bad. But before we could continue our fight, or better, even start it, Rimuru-sama appeared. He seems to know this weird masked girl. We entered the palace and entered a meeting room. As good of an assistant I am, I even offered to dispose of her, but he declined and asked me to leave us alone. I brought some tiramisu and left the room. I was in my room, painting a picture of Rimuru-sama, when I suddenly felt a huge aura. It was, how could I say, massive. No, terrifying. I was pressed to the ground and couldn't lift a finger. The whole continent was shaking. Was this Rimuru-sama's aura? Because he always erases his presence, I can't tell, but it has to be him. I knew he was strong, but this much how great my lord is. But now that I know of this, I have to restart my painting and adjust it to the new level of greatness Rimuru-sama was emitting. After a few minutes, the pressure was gone, and I could move again. I quickly rushed to my lord and was followed by the others. They too, looked petrified. When we arrived, there was another girl. A regular human. How did she get in here? Was this why Rimuru-sama got angry? Maybe she interrupted his meeting. I again offered to dispose of that trash, but Rimuru-sama declined again. How merciful my lord is. He told us to leave again and that he will explain everything. He even apologized. We are not worthy of your apology, my lord. I went back to start a new painting, when I sensed that Milim-sama has awakened. We went to her room and led her to the balcony, where we explained to her what happened. But then she told us something that left us all speechless. Their dragon was dead and was revived by Rimuru-sama. Kai-sama doubted it at first, but Milim-sama said she was sure that she saw him die. And the dragon even told her that he remembered, being revived. Soon after, Rimuru-sama joined us again and talked with the dragon. Milim-sama is special, that's why she can, but Rimuru-sama too. He explained that he has Rimuru ears and Rimuru eyes. As expected of my lord. Rimuru-sama and Milim-sama quickly became besties, and he even named the dragon Gaia. A splendid name. When Gaia-sama asked what Rimuru-sama wanted to do, he surprisingly asked him to stay here. I thought I was finally leaving this place. But before I could indulge in my sorrow, he told us that he will travel around with me. Milim, Sama and Gaia will also join us, but they are just besties, I don't have to worry, right? That won't disturb our date, I mean our travel. That masked girl from before was, as Rimuru Sama said, his student. TCH, I will have to see her again. Anyway, can't be helped. Surprisingly, Velgrin Sama will join us too. Is she trying to? I won't lose. Rimuru Sama told us that we would leave in a few days, so I have to hurry up and finish my painting till then. I wonder how Rimuru Sama will react when he sees it. Hehe. Chapter 14. Annoyed Vampire Queen. 2 days had passed since Rimuru decided to leave the frozen continent and recruit Dagil and Luminus. The reason he decided not to leave immediately was because, as Rimuru sees himself, he was a gentleman. All his companions were females, and he thought maybe they would need time to prepare themselves. That they weren't humans but a demon, a true dragon and a dragonoid didn't matter to him. That was because his human side from his old life was still clinging to him. During these 2 days, Rimuru continued cooking for everyone, and this set everyone in a cheerful mood. Guy was the only one conflicted. After Rimuru's announcement, Guy asked Rimuru for a fight, and after some convincing, Rimuru gave in. They went outside, where Velzard and Velgrin set up a barrier around the two to prevent damage to the Cardinal world as a whole. The battle between Milim and Guy set aside, this battle would have been catastrophic if they hadn't set up barriers around them. These two, probably the two strongest beings, would have a fierce fight. That was at least what everybody thought. The reality was rather harsh for Guy, who was itching to fight his fellow demon lord. As soon as Velzard gave the signal, both of them set off and flew into the air. After a staring contest, Guy was the first one to attack. He closed the gap between them and a close combat fight began. Rimuru, with minimal movement, dodged every punch and kick. By realizing he was put in the same position, Velgrin got annoyed and called Rimuru out. Boy, is dodging everything you can do? At least try to attack from time to time. Do you underestimate me that much, you bastard? Rimuru looked curiously at Guy and was lost in his thoughts, making a timeout gesture and leaning over to Guy's ear. Are you sure? You know I didn't want you to lose your face in front of Velzard-san. Don't you want to put on at least a good show before you lose? Rimuru didn't mean to insult Guy. This was simply his way of caring for him. But to Guy, this was the biggest insult anyone had thrown at him. Not even the violet and yellow primordials, who were known for their insults among the primordials, had angered him this much. This caused him to go full out. He released his full aura, which caused some cracks in the barrier, and charged in again into his doom. Rimuru disappeared before his side and reappeared right beside him and kicked him in the side. The guy was sent flying to the ground at high speed, and the impact shook the whole continent, no, even further parts. Meanwhile, everyone present on the fight scene had their mouths open in a look of disbelief. Guy lay, unconscious, on the ground without any signs of getting up. I might have overdone a bit, Rimuru nervously said, while sweating. But he didn't get any response. Everyone still had their eyes locked on Guy. The first one to return to reality was Milim, who excitedly jumped up and down, exclaiming how cool her bestie was, joined by Guy. Rain had an indifferent look on the outside, but inside she was cheering for her new master the whole time. She didn't want to disrespect her old master by going along with Milim. Velgrin, after getting over the shock, also had a smile on her face. Velzard had a look of concern on her face, but it dissipated after Guy slowly started to move again. She quickly went up to him. Ha 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 ha, brilliant. That wasn't bad, Rimuru. Let's do it again sometimes. Guy, who regained his consciousness, shouted and continued his laughter. Rimuru. You broke him. You have to take responsibility and pay me. Velzard screamed at Rimuru. I'm sure that he was always like that. Not my fault, Velzard-san. Sigh. Maybe you're right. Velzard defeatedly added. After healing Guy, they joined the others and returned to the castle. Meanwhile, in Night Garden, Luminus sat in her bed and listened to Chloe, who was excitedly telling her stories about how she met Rimuru. Hinata, who became Lumina's new toy, lay in her lap and looked uncomfortable, but wasn't able to go against her. And then he made us fight him and promised the winner the news manga. But Sensei is very strong, and we weren't able to win, of course. He gave everyone an example in the end. He was always so nice to us and everyone. And one time Chloe, it's always Rimuru this, Rimuru that. You know, I'm starting to get jealous, said Luminous. Her voice sounded teasingly, but she clearly was angry at that Rimuru, because he will steal her beloved Chloe one day. Chloe, because she was interrupted, pouted and turned around so that Luminous had to face her back. I know that was a joke, joke Chloe. I would love to meet this Rimuru one day. Luminous added, panicked, not wanting to get Chloe mad. If what she says is true, I'm sure it is. I have Chloe for nearly 2,000 years for myself. I will win her over for sure. Before that annoying guy gets into this world, Chloe will be solely mine, Luminous thought to herself. The last part made her blush, and the imagination alone was enough to lift her mood. Since Chloe returned with Hinata, she was constantly talking about Rimuru. It was even worse than when Chloe and Luminous first met. This angered the possessive vampire queen, who set herself the goal to conquer Chloe before. While she was lost in her thoughts, Chloe turned around with a smile and shattered all hopes of Luminus with her next words. Really? He said he will visit in a few days, you know. We met him in the frozen continent before we came back. Luminus was in a loss of words. Her pale skin became paler, and she looked visibly shocked. He is here. Frozen continent. He will visit. What are you talking about, Chloe? And why were you in the Red Primordial's territory? Didn't you say Rimuru would be reborn into this world in 2,000 years? Chloe let out a chuckle before answering. Didn't you hear the news? I was sure you would already know. He is one of the demon lords. And I went to the frozen continent because he is staying there together with Guy Crimson. As for how he is here, that's a secret. Chloe, despite respecting and loving Rimuru, didn't want to lie to her friend. With every answer delivered by Chloe, Luminus visibly became paler. Before she could ask anything else, the whole castle began to shake. Dust fell from the ceilings and everyone was on guard. They quickly got on their feet. Earthquake? Hinata asked. A big one at that. But it stopped quickly. Luminus added. I wonder if that was Sensei. Chloe tilted her head. Chloe, I know you respect him a lot, but don't go around doing everything about him. That was simply an earthquake. Luminus added, slightly annoyed. But Chloe didn't waver and thought what could have happened. Anyway, let's continue our girls' talk. Luminus said, and the three of them continued their girls' talk. Back to present time, Rimuru, Velgrund, Rain, Milim and Gaia were outside the Palace of the White Ice, ready to set off. Alright, everyone, let's go. Rimuru excitedly shouted. Where are we going first? Velgrund asked. First, we will have to visit Dagil. We can spend some time there and afterwards we'll visit Luminus Valentine. Are they strong, Noda? Can we maybe spar with them, Noda? Milim asked, with sparkles in her eyes. Milim, we're going to make them join us, not to fight them. So don't destroy anything or anyone while we are there, alright? Rimuru scolded Milim. Alright, Noda. Milim sulked. And thus, they set off to meet Dagil and Luminus Valentine. Chapter 15. Troubles with an old acquaintance. On a hill located near Damergania, 4 figures were sitting on a blanket. They were talking, eating, and laughing. They looked like ordinary humans and could be mistaken for such if it weren't for the little dragon among them. These 4 were the demon lords Rimuru Tempest and Veldanava, the scorched dragon Velgrund, and the newly named pet dragon of Milim, Gaia. The location wasn't randomly chosen, because they were close to the borders of the giant King Dagil's territory they wanted to pay a visit to. The reason they weren't in the territory was simply to not alert them. They had already sent Rain to inform them of their visit, but now 3 hours ago, and she still had yet to return. While Velgrund didn't care and Milim and Gaia were too fixed on the new delicacy that Rimuru provided them, honey, Rimuru started to feel anxious about the safety of his assistant. It's weird, I don't think that it would take 3 hours for her to deliver the message. Do you think she got into a fight? Rimuru asked his companions, with a concerned expression. Not that I care, but I don't think that girl is stupid enough to pick a fight with that giant. Although he is weaker than me and Velzard, that stupid brother of mine couldn't beat him, so I doubt Rain would pick a fight with such an opponent. Velgrund casually replied. Is he really that strong, Noda? Maybe I should go and... No, Milim. No fighting. Don't you remember what I said? Why yes I do, Noda. I will behave, Noda. Milim nervously answered. The reason for her nervousness was simply a threat from Rimuru. No sweets if she were to start a fight. Like in the original timeline, Rimuru managed to keep Milim in check with sweets. Velgrund was still amazed by this talent displayed by Rimuru. Her previous companion, Rudra, couldn't manage to get her on his side despite all his efforts. Was it really that easy? Henny was all it takes to tame her. Were Velgrund's thoughts. Rimuru, although enjoying their small picnic, started to feel uneasy. The reason was simply Milim. Although she was now occupied with all the food, as soon as she would get bored, there was no guarantee she wouldn't storm off by herself to Dagil. Why does it take so long to just deliver a message? Rimuru thought to himself. Maybe I should go and see if there is a problem she encountered. You 3 can wait here, I will contact you as soon as possible. Are you sure? I can join you if you want to. Velgrund asked, concerned. It was still in enemy territory at this point. And for Rimuru to go there by himself concerned her a bit. Don't worry, I'll contact you if there is a problem. The reason why Rimuru didn't want Velgrund to join him was simply because of Milim. Someone had to keep an eye on her. And with that, Rimuru took off and flew towards Dagil's castle, where he resides. He didn't teleport because he didn't know if Rain had already delivered the message, and his popping out of thin air in the castle would alert them for sure. While he was flying, he suddenly felt the clash of 2 oars. One was, no, indeed both were familiar to Rimuru, who now understood why Rain was so late. Rimuru, now aware of the situation, facepamed himself for forgetting about her, and flew towards the location where he felt Rain fighting. Ciel, why is she even around? Shouldn't she be in the underworld? I assume that she, like the Yellow Primordial, is capable of temporarily leaving the underworld. We are near her domain, so that would explain it. What a pain. Without Diablo, I don't even know if we can calm her down. It's too early to meet her, but now that she is fighting Rain, I can't simply ignore her. Let's see what we can do about it. 3 hours ago, Rain received the order to deliver the message to the King of the Giants, Dagil. After a little bow, she took off and flew towards her destination. But halfway through, she felt a familiar presence which was a big nuisance for her, now and in the past. That annoying little girl. Let's ignore her for now. Rimuru-sama strictly ordered me to deliver the message without causing trouble. I don't have time for that little shit. To her, her lord's orders had the highest priority, and she couldn't let her get distracted. But suddenly, the nuisance she decided to ignore appeared before her. A little girl around the age of 16, with an innocent look on her face. To an unknowing onlooker, she looked like an innocent teenager, if she wouldn't fly high above the ground. The most noticeable trait was her violet hair color. Look who we have here, if it isn't blue. It is rare for you to visit me, the little girl said while tilting her head. TCH. As if I would ever visit you, Violet. And unlike you, I have a name. I would like you to call me that. Oh sorry, I already forgot you gave up your freedom and become Reds. I'm sorry, guy's pet. Do you want to entertain me while you're here? I'm bored with torturing those weak demons. Violet said and flashed an evil grin. I would love to kill you and put you into a slumber, but I have received an order from my lord. I don't have time for your antiques. Orders, you say? So that means, knowing Red, you'll get in trouble if I distract you, don't you? Violet's evil smile grew wider. Rain and Violet hated each other, and Violet felt amusement while imagining Rain getting punished. The imagination alone put her in ecstasy, and she darted forward and attacked Rain, and a fierce fight took place. You've gotten stronger, Blue. I thought playing the pet Red would get you rusty, but I was mistaken. You annoying little shit. I wasted enough time, so get out of my way. Rain shouted. They were fighting for 3 hours now, and no side could decide to fight for himself. No, why would I? I finally found some entertainment. Maybe after missing for so long, Vert would join us too, wouldn't she? I'm sure Red is getting angry now. Violet exclaimed, amused by the situation she put Rain in. Why was she? But I'm sure Rimuru-sama is worried. I wouldn't want him to see me having trouble with an annoying bug like you. Ha! Violet let out, confused. As Rimuru-sama's assistant, I have to be stronger and shouldn't waste my time on the likes of you. Ha! Violet's confusion rose again. Her smile faded away and was replaced with a confused expression. What? Of course I should be able to do this much. Did you really think I would have trouble? No, that's not it. Who is that Rimuru you keep mentioning? Did Guy change his name or what? Although Violet knew this was unlikely, she couldn't think of another logical reason. Red was the strongest and there is no way Blue would leave him. But Rimuru. She couldn't and wouldn't simply leave Red and pick another master. Her thoughts were interrupted by Blue. Someone like you isn't worthy enough to call his name. And to your question, Rimuru-sama is my new master. Wait. Hold up. What is going on here? You're telling me you, of all people, have a new master. Don't fuck with me. As if Red would sit still and allow such a thing. Guy-sama asked me personally to serve Rimuru-sama, and I devoted my loyalty and life to Rimuru-sama. Look, you're starting to annoy me. Why would that proud demon give away his servant to someone? And isn't Rimuru that new demon lord? I heard it from one of my servants. Yes, indeed he is. And he is the strongest at that. Rain exclaimed, with a smug expression. This time it was Violet who felt anxious and that amused Rain, seeing her fellow primordial demon with such a troubled expression. The strongest? What about Red? Rimuru-sama beat him with just a kick and knocked him unconscious. Didn't you feel the impact here? The impact? Wait. Those earthquakes, don't tell me. Violet, who realized what Rain was implying, turned pale. She also felt the earthquakes days ago, but shrugged it off as a natural phenomenon. She also knew Rain and knew she wouldn't lie. The only reason she didn't believe her was because she didn't want to believe such a thing. Primordial demons were the strongest, at the top of the ladder. The only 3 beings above them were the 3 true dragons. And Rain here said that Rimuru knocked the strongest of them out with just 1 kick. That was absurd in her eyes, but because it was Rain who said that, she had also troubles brushing it aside as a lie. That's not a joke, right? Why would I joke around about Rimuru-sama's greatness? While Violet's anxiety grew, both of them didn't realize the person next to them. So here you were, Rain. I was worried about you, but I'm glad you're alright. Rimuru-sama. I'm sorry. I will accept my punishment for my insolence and delaying your orders. Rain said, with a sad expression, and bowed, which looked weird because they were flying high above the ground. No, why would I? I mean, I should have known this would happen. I forgot this is the Violet Primordial's domain. Meanwhile, Violet was shocked. She couldn't feel a single trace of aura or magicules around him. She didn't even realize he was here before he spoke up. But that was the perfect opportunity for her. Now she could find out how strong he really is. And you must be the Violet Primordial. I'm sorry, but we don't have much time to spare, and I bet you had your fun with Rain here. If you excuse us, we have to. Wait. I want to fight you. Rain here babbled some nonsensical things about you, and I have to see if that was true. Rimuru let out a sigh and looked defeated. He knew it would come to that, but he still felt uneasy fighting one of his future subordinates. Is there no other? No? Fight me, Ultima shouted. Alright. But I don't have much time, so let's settle this quickly. Rain, can you go to Dagil and deliver the message? After you finish, meet me up at the hill where the others are. As you wish, Rimuru-sama. Rain said, rather reluctantly. She wanted to witness this fight, but Rimuru's orders had top priority. After a bow, she left and Rimuru was now facing Violet. So, let's get over this, shall we? Rimuru said. Violet just nodded and took her battle stance. But before she could attack, Rimuru appeared before her and punched her in the stomach. Violet's eyes grew wide, and she was launched into a mountain nearby, destroying it completely. There was no trace of teleportation, how could he? But before she could finish her thoughts, she started to lose her consciousness. No, she was dying. That simple punch was enough to damage her to such extent. Violet felt fear. She would be reborn in some years or 100, but her pride was shattered. But suddenly, she regained consciousness and felt her powers return. When she looked up, she saw Rimuru standing above her and healing her. Why would he? I challenged him and lost, why would he heal me? I'm sorry, I went overboard with that punch. After the fight with Guy, I got a little carried away. Why did you heal me? Ha. Because I don't want you to die. Why? I have no reason to kill you. We fought, I won. And as the winner, I decided to spare you. That's all to it. I have to leave now, take care. Wait. Violet shouted and stood up, her knees still shaking. Rimuru, thinking she wants to continue to fight, took his battle stance, but was baffled when he saw what Violet did. She fell to her knees and lowered her head. Rimuru-sama, please accept me as your servant. Rimuru had his mouth open. He wanted to recruit her in the future, but didn't expect her to join him so soon. Should I accept? If I decline, she will for sure go on a rampage. What will the other primordials do? I'm sure Guy will have headaches again and complain. But declining her. Alright, I accept. So stand up. Violet stood up and had a big smile on her face. But this time it wasn't an evil grin, but a smile of happiness. Thank you, my lord. I will devote my life for you. No need for my lord, just call me Rimuru. As you wish, Rimuru-sama. As a sign of you becoming my subordinate, I will give you a name and a body. Rimuru stated. But Rimuru-sama, naming a primordial. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Rimuru, with the help of Ciel, created a new body, but this time it was made out of high hurricane, the strongest metal. Violet's eyes grew white as she laid her eyes on her new body. From this day on, your name shall be Ultima. I, Ultima, will do my best to serve you well, Rimuru-sama. She possessed her new body and completed her evolution to a demon peer. She clenched her fists and checked her new body. She was surprised at her new powers. So, Ultima, let's go to the others and wait for Rain to return. As you wish, Rimuru-sama. They set off towards the hill where the others were waiting. I guess I have some explanations to do. I hope Rain and Ultima will get along. Chapter 16. Messenger. Damergania was the country where the giants, under the rulership of Dagil, resided. In the original timeline, it was also called Holy Void because it was simply a barren land that was contaminated after the fight between Milim and Guy Crimson. As of now, due to Rimuru stopping the two, the land was saved and in good shape. Dagil had already received a report from his spies who witnessed the fight, and how a mysterious blue-haired maiden had saved them from the worst, as she had knocked out Veldanava before she could do some serious damage to their country. Dagil was currently in his throne room, still exhausted from his fight with Veldanava a few days ago. Their fight ended in a draw again, but both enjoyed it till the end, before they both decided to call it a draw and parted ways. But Dagil didn't complain about it because he and Veldanava had developed some kind of a friendship during their fights, and both respected each other's strength. While he was recalling his fight with Veldanava, his brother Glassard entered the throne room. Brother, did you recover already? Yes, Glassard, if it wouldn't be for Veldanava I would be rusty by now. These training sessions helped me stay in shape. Glassard let out a chuckle at Dagil's response. There aren't many people to fight the storm dragon evenly and call it a training session afterward. Dagil smirked at this remark. Although he appeared calm and friendly, the truth was that he always enjoyed a good fight. This was the case since the old times when the giants went on a rampage and were stopped by Veldanava. Since then, it has been Dagil's duty to guard the Heaven's Tower. But now, as a king, he had to think of his folk and avoid troubles that could affect Damergania. Their life was peaceful and the only conflict they had was with their neighbors, the vampires under the reign of Luminus Valentine. They were playing cat and mouse, but hadn't had a full-out war until now. They both wanted to expand their territories, but couldn't attack the humans. The reason is Guy Crimson. Some vampires under Luminus Valentine decided, unbeknownst to their queen, to attack a human nation to expand their land, but were annihilated before they could start it by the Green Primordial. After this incident, both Dagil and Luminus were warned not to do anything to break the balance of power or attack human nations, just because of their ambitions to expand their territories. They, of course, didn't want to incite the wrath of the strongest primordial, who had 2 other primordials at his command. Since then, they have been bickering with each other. While Dagil was talking with Glassard about the current state of their land, suddenly someone barged in. It was one of the guards. He went before the throne Dagil was sitting on and yelled, "Excuse my rudeness Dagil-sama," to suddenly burst into the throne hall, "but we have a problem." What happened? The blue primordial, Rain-sama, is here and demands an audience. That's a rare guest, Dagil thought to himself. The last time he saw her was when Guy came to warn them. But one thing he knew was that it had to be important, and that it was a bad idea to decline it. Did she mention why she is here? Is she alone? I tried to ask, but she simply brushed me off, telling me it was not my business, and not to stick my nose in everything. The guard said, clearly defeated. "Sai, right, bring her here." The guard left and soon after came back, accompanied by Rain. Dagil was calm, but could feel how his brother tensed up. Dealing with the violet primordial was exhausting enough, and having a named primordial in this land was understandably worth panicking. "Excuse me, we couldn't prepare for your arrival because we didn't know of it. What brings you here today, Rain?" "Not necessary, as I am just here as a messenger from my lord, the demon lord, Chaos Creator Rimuru Tempest-sama." Rain answered indifferently, but emphasized her lord's name and titles loudly. "Your lord? Wasn't your lord Guy Crimson?" Dagil asked. Glassard also had a dumbfounded expression because of what Rain said. "I was, yes, but with Guy-sama's agreement, I now serve my lord Rimuru Tempest-sama." "I see. You said you're a messenger. What is it that you wanted to deliver?" The letter appeared in Rain's hand, and she walked to the throne and handed it to Dagil, who opened it and started to read it. When he finished it, he was visibly pale. "Tell your lord that we are expecting him. I will prepare for his arrival." Rain nodded and walked out of the throne room, accompanied by the guard. As soon as she left, Dagil let out a big sigh. "What happened, brother? Who are we expecting? Is it that much of a deal?" Glassard asked, seeing how pale his brother was. "Of course, it's a big deal. Not only Demon Lord Rimuru, but also Veldanava and Scorched Dragon Valgrand." "What? Why would they want an audience? And let aside the 2 demon lords, why is Valgrand-sama accompanying them? She doesn't fit well in the group, doesn't she?" "I don't know, Glassard, I don't know. He simply wrote that he had an offer to make and was accompanied by the people I mentioned. And for some reason, he also wrote that he is a man. I wonder why it's so relevant to mention." Dagil pondered. The reason was simply that Rimuru didn't want to be called Miss Tempest again. It hurt his pride as a man, and this was the solution he came up with. But Dagil, not knowing of this, couldn't find an answer to his question. "I wonder what kind of person Rimuru Tempest is. If I have to guess, it has to be the person who knocked Veldanava out. But according to our spies, that person was a girl," Glassard said. "Maybe that's why he said he was a man. I don't know, we'll see. For now, let's prepare for their arrival." As soon as Rain returned, she nearly fought with Ultima again. Rain directly attacked Ultima without asking what she was doing there, and Ultima, too stubborn to state anything, didn't help the case either. They were separated by Rimuru and were scolded. Rimuru, for the second time, had to explain everything to Rain, and after the explanation, she calmed down. Despite knowing of her lord's greatness, she was surprised that Ultima decided to serve him. After that, Rain told her report. "Alright, let's wait for a bit so that they have enough time to prepare." "Rain, Ultima, no fighting, alright." "As you wish," Rimuru-sama both said in unison. Soon after, Rain and Ultima were talking about various things, but when Rain heard of how Ultima received a body made personally by Rimuru, she became envious. Rimuru, who realized it, quickly prepared one for her and let her possess it. Rimuru knew from the original timeline how envious and childish Rain could be, so that was the easiest way to prevent a conflict between Ultima and Rain. "Thank you, Rimuru-sama." "Glad you like it," Rimuru said, with a smile on his face which made Rain blush a little. After 1 hour, Rimuru stood up and made an announcement. "I know this is the 3rd time I'm saying this, but just to be sure. We are here to talk and offer Dagil a position as a demon lord, not to fight. So don't start a fight or insult our hosts. I think they had enough time to prepare, let's go." Everyone nodded and took off to meet Dagil, the king of the giants and possibly the soon-to-be 5th demon lord.